What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here to talk to you about a movie called Thr3e. This is, I'm going to try to say this with a straight face, a faith-based horror film, or maybe faith-based suspense film. Suspense and horror, tomato, tomato, as far as I'm concerned. I don't really know what line people draw between those two, but I feel like they are close enough that I can talk about this in October. So right off the bat, I put the disc in, and I was a little concerned what I was getting myself into, because there was about 4 minutes of trailers for movies I had never heard of before, and I was noticing a pattern. All of them were from acclaimed author Frank Peretti. I had never heard of these movies. I had never heard of Frank Peretti. A couple of them were with also acclaimed author Ted Dekker, and I had never heard of any of this. And then at the end of this batch of trailers, it says all of these are from Fox Faith. And this movie apparently was actually theatrically released from Fox Faith, which is, my understanding is, a subsidiary of 20th Century Fox, but it's specifically faith-based films. And again, I've never heard of a faith-based horror or faith-based suspense. That really baffles me, and the more I talk about this movie, I am sure that it will baffle you as well. So this movie, I guess I should say, starring Riley from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and a whole bunch of other people. So Riley from Buffy, he is in maybe graduate school. He is in seminary school specifically, which is where you go when you want to be a priest. And then I guess 3 months before the main portion of the movie, there is a Jigsaw-esque killer who is on the phone with this police officer. She wrote a book about criminality, I guess, and then he didn't like that, so he kidnapped her brother and then attached a bomb to her brother, locked him in a car, and was giving her riddles on the phone. If she can solve the riddles, then she'll be able to save her brother. She's not able to. 3 months later, we meet Riley from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Mark Blucas is the actor's name. And then similar stuff starts happening to him. He gets phone calls from the police, call him the Riddle Killer. He's getting phone calls. His car blows up at one point. It had painted on it, "Confess. You must confess your sins." And eventually, we find out that when Riley was a little kid, that there was this older kid who was like a psychotic bully, something right out of Stephen King's It. He threatened to murder this guy because he tattled on him for staring at this girl across the street or something like that. And so at one point, Riley is running away from this older guy. He runs into an abandoned warehouse, and then he traps the guy in there, locks the door, and then runs away and leaves the guy to die. And he eventually figures out, okay, this guy who is now tormenting me and trying to kill me now, the Riddle Killer, is this kid who tried to kill me when I was a little kid. It's him now grown up. I don't remember how much time has passed, but he figures that out, and so he goes on the news, or he calls the news and says, "Hey, this is what I did. I locked this kid in a warehouse and left him to die. I'm confessing." And then the guy says, "That's not good enough. You didn't confess." And so he keeps trying to kill Riley. We meet Riley's childhood sweetheart. She comes in, and then also the woman from the prologue at the beginning, whose brother died, she is still investigating this. And so they're all kind of trying to work together. They're always one step behind the Riddle Killer. We find out that both of Riley's parents died when he was very young, so he was raised by his aunt, who is a hermit. She keeps like thousands and thousands of newspapers all stacked up in her house. Her husband still believes that Dwight Eisenhower is the president. The entire family, they are hermits, very isolated from society, and the movie is wanting you to think, oh, these guys are weirdos. We don't like them. And the aunt, she's wearing a tiara, and everyone calls her princess for some reason. And it's telling you that these guys are, well, at least the aunt, is horrible because she tried to raise her nephew in isolation away from the rest of the world. And it's her fault that he kind of, I guess, went out into the world and wasn't ready for the world. The police officer says that at one point, like, you kept him in here and didn't tell him what kind of world was out there. And it's one of those weird things, like, I honestly don't believe that a judicial court would allow this child to go into the custody of this woman. She very clearly is not capable role of raising a child. She had a very horrible influence on Riley, and I'll just go ahead and segue right into spoilers. We find out that Riley is the Riddle Killer, that he has multiple personalities. I'm not sure what the proper medical terminology here is, but the guy who he thought he had locked in an abandoned warehouse, that was something he constructed from his own mind. And also, his childhood sweetheart, who he's known for however long, 15, 20 years, he also constructed her, which is really stupid, because when you go back in the movie, there are several scenes where the police officer woman is talking to Riley's kind of sort of girlfriend on the phone. And I guess the movie is saying that Riley used like a girl voice whenever he's talking to the police officer, and at one point he does that, like we see him do it, except that's just not how it works. I don't think that I have like a super bass voice. I'm not like, Michael Clark Duncan or anything like that. But my voice is, average baritone-ish voice. I am not going to be able to successfully mimic a woman's voice if I call somebody on the phone. Whenever you get a phone call from a man and he says, "Hey, it's me, I'm a woman," you can tell that it's not a woman talking to you on the phone. So this movie is just falling apart at the seams at that point when it's saying that Riley is the killer and also he is his childhood friend. There are numerous times where Riley is on the phone with someone, and I guess anytime Riley is on the phone with somebody else, that's just him. But then when Riley's on the phone, he's not actually talking to anybody on the phone, I guess. But then there is a further wrinkle in this movie, because after Riley is taken away, he is taken to not really a mental institution, but it's a place where he can get better. It's not a jail, but it's a place where he's kind of looked after, sort of. After that, the police realize, wait a minute, there was another Riddle Killer. And it turns out it was, are you ready for this? The hot dog vendor from the beginning of the movie. A completely unimportant character. He was the one who kidnapped the police officer's brother, and he was the one tormenting her. And then at one point in the movie, he attacked Riley's apartment. Riley was writing a thesis for seminary school, and this guy took the thesis and just scattered it all over the apartment, opened the windows, turned on the fans, and then he was taking pictures from across the street. Riley saw him at one point, and it turns out that was the actual Riddle Killer. And then everything else in the movie, with the exception of the police officer's brother, everything else was Riley doing it to himself, and he didn't know that. And then the real Riddle Killer, he says, yeah, I didn't like that there was a copycat killer out there. Okay, how did you know that Riley was the copycat killer? How did you find that out? And so this movie is hot garbage. I was thinking worst case scenario, this would be a very forgettable horror movie. I probably won't forget it, but I won't remember it for the right reasons. Whenever I think back on this movie, I'm going to think back on it being incredibly stupid. I hate it for Mark Blucas, even though I wasn't a big fan of Buffy Season 4. I like him as an actor. I think he did pretty good in Buffy. I hate that his career got to a point where he felt like he had to take roles in a faith-based horror film. I wish better for this actor. All the other actors, I don't think there was anyone else in this that I was familiar with their work. They're all either okay or hamming it up hard. Riley's aunt, uncle, and cousin, they are all really hamming it up, and I have a feeling that is because the director was wanting them to ham it up. The director was probably saying, you guys are supposed to play these really gross, weird characters, and we're not supposed to like you because you kind of twisted Riley and turned him into this evil psychopath that he is in the present day. And so they have to really give a hammy performance whenever they're in the movie, and it's really bizarre because everyone else in the movie is turning in a different kind of performance. But overall, I thought this movie was not great, but also not hilariously bad enough that I would want to watch it again. It's puzzling. Really, the existence of this type of movie is what's puzzling to me, but the movie itself is not very good. It's like if Saw wasn't quite as gruesome and brutal as it is. Honestly, at the beginning of the movie, there were all those trailers for other faith-based movies from this company, and at one point it said something like movies for the whole family or movies for everyone. And after watching this, I'm not going to say that there's anything especially awful that you would hesitate to show it to your grandma or your son or something like that. But at the same time, I don't think that those age groups would enjoy this movie. At one point, there's a dog in a doghouse, and the doghouse blows up. So trigger warning if you don't like animal cruelty. I don't think that a grandma is going to enjoy this. I don't think that a little kid is going to enjoy this. It's not like Saw, where people are cutting off limbs and it's going to make you throw up if you're eating food or something like that. It's not that bad. It doesn't have any vile language in it. It doesn't have any rampant sexuality. Nothing like that. But it's still scary enough that I don't think that this is a movie for the whole family, like the trailers at the beginning of the movie was saying. Really, just the existence of this movie is what confuses me. But I didn't enjoy myself. This is not a good movie, nor is it bad enough that I thought it was so hilarious that I would want to watch it again. So those are my thoughts on Thr3e. I hope you guys liked this video, and I will see you guys in the future with some more. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you later.